All right. Good morning, everybody. So, right now, today is May the 1st, May the 1st, and it's early in the morning, but got a ton of exciting news for you guys. So, we're going to just start going through it bit by bit, piece by piece, as I walk through the house with my mobile phone. But we're definitely going to cover this tonight. Tonight, self, we're going to cover it. And as you can see from the title, we're talking about restoring the Snyderverse. Restore the restore the Snyderverse, which is a great topic, and we about to get down into. We're really about to get down into it. We're really about to get down into it, right? All right. So we're going to talk about a number of different topics, from the Snyder Cut versus Justice League on YouTube, to Crave passing 2.9 million subs thanks to the Snyder Cut, to Samba TV tracking 3.7 million households through 39 days. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about how the WB Shop in UK responds to Restore the Snyderverse. Restore the Snyderverse. Oh, okay. I have Restore the Snyder Cut. That's inaccurate. Let me correct that right now. Okay, it's Restore the Snyderverse. That's cool. That's dope. Right, awesome. No, 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 no. Oh man. Okay, I'm just correcting it here. Okay. So we'll talk about that. A lot of exciting stuff to talk about. Then we'll talk about how Zack Snyder, he speaks on Vero to a fan who's losing hope. We can talk about Stephen Colbert, how he pointed out an interesting issue with the announcement of the Green Lantern for HBO Max series. And we'll also talk about the Snyder Cut trending as #1 in the UK, ahead of Wonder Woman 84 now. And the consequences of that. Okay, 1 second. We're going to talk about Michael Ludden, a little bit about Michael Ludden, and we're gonna go into some more detail about that. We're also going to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League trailer being the most watched original trailer of HBO Max. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Ben Affleck's Batman and Henry Cavill's Superman for Superhero Day. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Henry Lennox and how he had his little input into Superhero Day. We also talk about how HBO Max, okay, how HBO Max, how they use the Snyder Cut. They use the Snyder Cut to preview all the upcoming films uh, of 2021. Okay, so we'll talk about that as well. So we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff now. As we go into here, you guys can come through on the channel as a guest. You can just click the link that you see in the chat area, and you can jump on as a guest. Feel free to do so. But we really got a lot of stuff to talk about today. And some of the information, I give my opinions and views on different things. But of course, bouncing off ideas from different people and listen to different ones of you talk about things is also very interesting. So I would love to hear you guys. You can come through on the chat, or you can come through as a guest. Either way, it's cool. Just be respectful, and we're off and running. So let me start this off by saying definitively that I believe that the Snyder Cut is just the beginning of the Snyderverse. That the Snyderverse is coming sooner than we think, and we're going to talk in a lot of detail about that. And we're gonna break it down. We're gonna go till probably, it's right now 12:44 in the night. It might go till 3 in the morning. So we're going for a while. We're gonna do the long midnight hours on this one because I just ate and I can't go to sleep yet. So I'm gonna stay up tonight and talk to you guys in quite an immeasurable amount of detail about the Snyderverse. Okay. Now, I always maintain, and I always told you guys, I always maintain that I believe the Snyderverse is coming, and I always believed that that this was going to happen, right? Now, I didn't always believe it. Initially, I wasn't sure, but then I started seeing signs and symptoms that was going to happen. And then when the Snyder Cut did well, I knew for a fact that it was going to happen. Okay. So the first thing we want to talk about in terms of evidence of how the Snyderverse is coming, and the more you listen and the more you think about it, is the more you like, this is not even rocket science. This is going to happen. Okay. The question was never, the question was never, oh, there's something else I want to add in. We're going to add it in the end, though. The question was never, will the Snyderverse be restored? That's a given. It's going to be restored. The question was never when it's going to be restored. We know it's going to happen. It's going to be restored. The first, well, it could be restored before this, but 2022 is what I'm talking about. 2022 is the time when there's so much to say about it, because restored means several different things. But 2022 is when I think we'll see the first sort of, well, it's tricky to say, but I'm going to put it this way. The Ayer cut, I think, is dropping in 2022. That's how I'm going to put it. The Ayer cut, I think, is going to drop in 2022. That's the best way to put it, because I think the universe is going to be restored before that. But the first film that shows that the universe, that AT&T is going forward with this universe, the first film that shows this, well, yeah, because technically I'm talking about a different film to the Snyder Cut. I could also say the Snyder Cut kind of assures us that it's going forward with all the information we have now. But I mean, like a clear, definitive something, right? There's something else that could happen this year that could give us a clear, definitive something as well. So I need to be clear on that. But particularly what I'm talking about here is a clear, definitive answer in terms of a movie coming out, right? Okay. Okay. All right, cool. So we're going to get into this. First of all, let me just drop y'all a piece of scripture. I always like to drop a piece of scripture. And this time, the scripture's coming from John chapter 11. And let me just pull it up first. Oh, woo. John chapter 11. Let's see, let me pull it up real quick here. Hold on a second. Yeah, okay, we're close to it. Don't go slipping by me now. So I know how y'all are. I know how y'all do. Right. John chapter 11, verse 40. Jesus said to Martha, "Didn't I tell you that if you would believe, you should see the glory of God?" And they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you that you've heard me. I know you hear me all the time, but because these people are standing by, I said it, that they may believe that you have sent me." And when he had spoken, he then cried out with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" And he that was dead came out. He was bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound about with a napkin. And Jesus said to them, "Loosen and let him go." That was John chapter 11, verses 40, 44. Now, for those of you who know the Snyder Cut, you know that Superman was resurrected at the 2 hour mark, 38 minute, and 50, I believe it's 52 or 57 second. Okay. One of those things. But it covers what I just read was within that resurrection moment, which is what we see a dead person resurrected. Now, in many respects, the Snyder Cut and even the Snyderverse, some people thought it was dead. They lost hope, right? And I want to just talk to you guys about what Zack Snyder said to a fan on Vero. So the fan that was on Vero, his name was Devander Singh. And he said to Zack Snyder, he said, "Say something, man. I'm losing hope." And Zack Snyder replied very simply, "Don't." Right? He said, "Don't." To Davinder Singh. And that's telling. That's telling. I know the fandom was, very hopeless at a certain point in time, and I saw how negative some people were, particularly, I think, just a day or so ago when Inside HBO Max retweeted a sort of jeering of the Snyder fans because they're speaking about the performance, the three greatest performances, which was Mortal Kombat, Wonder Woman 84, and Godzilla versus Kong. It's very interesting because when we go back to that fact again, people got deflated and so on, especially how Warner Bros. Seemed to be treating them, and then HBO Max seemed to be behaving this way. The fans were sort of despondent as usual. And so this fan is feeling that way, and he says to Zack Snyder, "Say something, man. I'm losing hope." And Zack Snyder says, "Don't lose hope." And interestingly, today has been like a tremendous day for the Snyder Cut fandom. I mean, the amount of good news that happened today, we'll go through some of it. But one of the things that we saw yesterday that kind of inflamed some people and got them angry was something for which, again, Warner Brothers, a certain arm of Warner Brothers, conducted themselves. And that was where Justice League, the movie that came out since 2017, that was a epic fail, then a movie that went to DVD, and they had it sold on DVD and so on. That movie, they Warner Brothers Entertainment, the home entertainment body, decided to put out the trailer for that movie again, and the trailer was the Heroes trailer, if you guys do recall. And that movie, to this day, to this time right now, has been an epic. The trailer was an epic fail. Like, it was an epic fail. And everybody knows Warner Bros. Pictures, or certain people from that side of Warner Media, said that Zack Snyder's Justice League is not canon. So they decided to put out that trailer to emphasize that. And obviously, it was an epic fail, and such an epic fail that if you look at what's scrolling down the screen below you, you will see that the Justice League trailer has 60,000 thumbs down. Epic. It's epic. I don't think Warner Bros. Has ever had something like that ever happen. 60,000 thumbs down. It's about 500 and something views. It has 500 and something thousand views. Warner Brothers Entertainment would be the home entertainment body, put this out. I think they were trying to emphasize that this is canon. And the fans just completely and utterly, and not just Snyder Cut fans, but fans in general, just utterly just resented that fact, and they just literally thumbs down the movie. In fact, 94.6% of the responses were thumbs down. Now, on that very same day, Warner Brothers UK and Ireland put out the Snyder Cut, the first 10 minutes of the Snyder Cut. And to date, they have gotten 20,000 thumbs up and a couple hundred thumbs down. And 99.3% of those responses were positive. And I believe the views right now for that particular 10 minutes, opening 10 minutes, I believe is somewhere close to probably 100,000 views, 100K. So clearly, I always tell people cancel culture and negativity never helps move something forward. And people who are fighting and scrabbling and fighting just to keep their positions, they don't do anything for a company. And Warner Brothers Pictures needs better leadership than that. And Ray Fisher was right about it. Their leadership is lacking. And they don't have a direction. They're not in tune with the fans. They're not in tune with the audience. Clearly, they're on their own agenda. So I use this to illustrate one very powerful point, that it's clear that the Snyder Cut is the way to go. It's not via Justice League. That's not a good foundation to continue any universe with. And clearly, the audience is saying that to Warner Brothers. And to summarize this in some more detail, I will just go into someone who is actually certified on social media. A gentleman by the name of Michael Luden. Michael Luden, he is currently the CEO of a tech company that it's not just tech, but it deals with systems, and it deals with basically teaching you different ways to influence machine learning systems. Okay. But anyway, he speaks on a lot of social issues, and one of these is the corruption in Warner Brothers. Michael Luden said that rich people's egos are getting in the way and is responsible for the gag orders that are happening
in Warner Media. And then he went on to say that, the shareholders need to step in and rope that in because these executives are out of control and they need to restore the Snyderverse. So he's a proponent of the Snyderverse. So several, I could show you several certified outlets and people on Twitter asking for the restoration of the Snyderverse or speaking positively about the Snyder Cut. It really has a massive influence on Hollywood, and that is a great thing. Zack Snyder's Justice League trailer, like I said before, is the most watched HBO Max original of all of HBO Max's history. And that's huge for HBO Max because, again, you can just think about the repercussions of that. And now, mind you, this is important to remember that HBO Max actually built their whole reputation and who they are off of the Snyder Cut. In fact, when they were advertising the upcoming movies for 2021, even though it says 2022, the Snyder Cut's the icon that they use. The Batman of the Snyder Cut's the icon that they use. So they basically were building their platform off of the Snyder Cut. So it's not surprising that they invested in the Snyder Cut to produce the Snyderverse as one of the big things that they would be offering and as an attraction for people to come subscribe to their platform. So it's not really surprising if AT&T is hell bent on having the Snyderverse on their platform. They know that's a tremendous magnet. And one of the major points here is that, of course, Zack Snyder himself is trending on social media. He's trended, I think, 2 or 3 times on social media. And of course, tomorrow we will be promoting, actually it's today, we'll be promoting Army of the Dead, which is his upcoming movie, which I'm actually going to watch. I'm not a zombie movie person, but like I said before, I'll definitely be watching that because, again, just so remarkable how, Zack Snyder just continuously generates excitement for his stuff. So, I mean, he is a walking, talking, advertising magnet. He's good at doing that, drumming up excitement for his stuff. So, the point being that this is what HBO Max has built themselves off of. So I'm not going to be surprised if, the Snyder Cut is featured on that, and then the Snyderverse. Those executives saying that Snyder Cut is a cul-de-sac. Really, it is not, because when we look at these figures here, the cul-de-sac is Justice League. The theatrical cut, that's a cul-de-sac. That's going nowhere. The Snyder Cut is going somewhere, and it definitely, I think, it would be a good platform for anything to be built off of, unless you're deciding to go independent all the way with your movies. But it's absolutely, and then here's some other corroborating evidence to support the fact that the Snyder Cut is definitely breeding the Snyderverse. Crave passed 2.9 million subs thanks to the Snyder Cut. So the Snyder Cut has pushed the Canadian Crave outlet, which basically is the platform that is actually showing HBO Max stuff, content at present in Canada. The Snyder Cut contributed 139,000 subs added in Q1, pushing Crave's total subs to 2.9 million subs, which is tremendous. So once again, the Snyder Cut doing that. And if that's not enough, let's talk a little bit about the United States. Samba TV tracked 3.7 million households watching the Snyder Cut through 39 days. Now that's almost the same number as, well, Wonder Woman 84 didn't get that high. Okay, Wonder Woman 84 actually had 3.2 million, I believe it was. And with Godzilla vs. Kong, I think it was 3.6 million in the first week. Okay, now the Snyder Cut started at 2.2 million households, but it increased and increased and increased, and now it's 3.7 million. And let's see if it'll even get higher than that. So this is remarkable because Whereas the Snyder Cut started at 2.2 million households, positive word of mouth carried it to 3.7 million at the end of the quarter, which is really amazing. Now, does it get higher in the second quarter? That's the question. Will more households have it? That will be interesting. Now, one of the important factors you need to understand, and the actual, trying to remember the guy's name, but the actual person who I think he's a doctor in doctorate, what he's doing, Dr. Jeffrey, I can't remember what his name is, for Samba TV. He's the manager, the head of Samba TV. He was saying that they really count views as one view per household or one view per TV. So they don't count repeat viewings. So when you see an increase in households, and remember, this is 3.7 million households, this is not individuals. But when you count, 3.7 million households, what you're really saying is that the amount of households increased from 2.2 million to initially, who all initially started watching it, to 3.7 million. And he also clarified that it's really the first 5 minutes is considered a view, which is interesting. So this doesn't take into effect repeat viewings. It doesn't take into effect engagement. It doesn't take into effect, how much love somebody has for the movie. They're just looking at views. But the important thing is, if you see more and more households viewing this thing, and you look at the engagement time, I think the engagement time in the United States was 1 hour and 199 minutes. Sorry, 199 minutes. It's almost 200, and I believe it should be, 4 hours is like 240 minutes. I think out of 240 minutes, it was 199 minutes. Plenty. That's plenty of minutes, really. But that's amazing that all those minutes were put into there. That's a timeshare, and that shows the investment and time into it. But more importantly to me is the point that it grew, the households grew, and we have to see what happens in the second quarter. So what do you have to do to ensure that this continues to grow and do well? Well, like Zack Snyder said, don't delete, put on repeat, meaning don't cancel your subscription, and try to get good word of mouth so that more people can go ahead and watch it on their own TVs. And if they're Samba TVs, that's the kind of thing. Then it means you get even more people. Now, the problem with that is sample size. So the Samba TV thing was an extrapolation of 3,000 households. So there's only 3,000 people. So there's a maximum amount of people probably that they extrapolated to the population of the United States of America. So in a way, it's a sample size thing that kind of is extrapolated out. So that's why it may. Now, the thing about it is, though, that according to the host of Samba TV, that was just extraordinarily good figures. Those are great figures, and that definitely will lead to a sequel. They will greenlight a sequel. So you can be guaranteed that Justice League 2 is coming and Justice League 3 is coming. That performance was good enough to get you a sequel, because it's good enough to get Wonder Woman a sequel. It was good enough to get Godzilla vs. Kong a sequel, and it'll be good enough to get Mortal Kombat a sequel. Actually, they're actually already speaking about sequels for those films. And similarly, the Snyder Cut's going to get a sequel. So you guys can be guaranteed that, again, the Snyderverse is going to be restored, because those numbers are really good. And just so you know, Godzilla vs. Kong tracked at 3.6 million in their first 3 days, and Mortal Kombat is tracked at 3.8 million in their first 3 days. Now, it doesn't really matter how many days it takes for you to get to those numbers. Here's the important thing you got to understand. It's those numbers that matter, that you're getting to those so many households. And of course, you got to look at engagement as well. Engagement is going to be something that's pretty significant when you're talking about these films. How many times people, how many hours people put into those films, the average hour, the average time. So I think I've already emphasized this, that the Snyder Cut began at 2.2 million, but grew based on world amount. In quarter two, we got to see what's going to happen. And as I said before, don't delete, put on repeat. But here's the important thing to remember as you guys proceed forward with your lives or whatever. is that Wonder Woman 84 actually started off really well and tapered off at its pinnacle, whereas the Snyder Cut is just constantly rising. And in the first 3 days, the Snyder Cut didn't quite reach up to Wonder Woman, but probably in the fourth, fifth day, it probably surpassed Wonder Woman because it's growing at such a massive rate. And there's a graph on that. And you guys can go to sambatv.com and you can look at all the metrics there. Okay. But what's really cool about it, all of this happened today. Now, in addition to that happened today, we also had Warner Brothers Shop UK. Now, first of all, Warner Brothers UK, UK right now, a lot of things are happening in the UK, right? UK actually it was tracked at I think it was 1.4 million households actually watched the Snyder Cut during the duration of time. So you put that in addition to the 3.7 million, now you get talking about like 4 point something million households. But nonetheless, let's just keep it moving. So WB Shop UK responded to hashtag Restore the Snyderverse. And their response was very interesting. So one gentleman, he said hashtag Restore the Snyderverse to WB Shop UK, which was actually selling the DVDs, the Blu-rays, sorry. Or was it DVDs? I think it was DVDs, the 4K DVDs for the Snyder Cut, which are all sold out within the first 20 minutes. Kind of like with Batman v Superman, everything was sold out within minutes, right? And so what's crazy about this is when the person said, restore the Snyderverse, and I myself, I was on the platform saying, just say restore the Snyderverse, brother. Anyway, the response was May 24th. Now, May 24th is the Blu-ray release of the Snyder Cut, okay, in the UK. Some people are taking that to mean, but the person did not respond to that. They responded to a statement saying, just restore the Snyderverse. And the person mentioned May 24th. So keep that in your back of your mind, May 24th. Let's see what happens. And that's why I said that restoring the Snyderverse is not necessarily going to begin next year, 2022, with the air cut. It could be before. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Okay. So I just thought I would share that with you guys because that's some really good stuff right there. We're not done. All of this happened yesterday. Okay. All of this happened yesterday. And that's why I said it's a lot to talk about. And if you guys want to join in, let me just take a little break on you guys. You can join in as a guest. There is a link in the chat section. Drop on in. Don't just be watching. You can jump on in here and talk your piece. I like people to talk out. I love it, especially normal fans out there. Okay. So we got so much to talk about. So we're going to try and get it all done. Oh, wow. So one of the other important things is that the Snyder Cut is right now trending as the #1 movie in the UK right now, ahead of Wonder Woman 84. So it surpassed Wonder Woman 84 in the UK and is doing extraordinarily well right now in terms of sales. Wonder Woman 84 dominated the UK for a good period of time, and now the Snyder Cut has taken over that. Let's not forget that on iTunes still, the only thing dominating everything is the Snyder Cut. Not Godzilla vs. Kong, not Wonder Woman 84. I do not know if Mortal Kombat is going up on, I don't know if it's going up on iTunes, but more than likely it will go up soon. And then we will see how it does, if it'll dethrone the Snyder Cut. But the Snyder Cut is running things right now on iTunes. And interestingly enough, Mortal Kombat in the theaters, I think it cost about 50 something plus million dollars to make. It already made back its production budget of 50 something million dollars, which is very good for it because remember, Mortal Kombat was actually an original film that was formed on HBO Max. It wasn't Warner Brothers that did this. HBO Max, not distributed by Warner Brothers. So you got to go into theaters. And we're going to talk about the Snyder Cut going into theaters as well, because that is a precursor for us to see the Snyder Cut in theaters. Now, we've seen a number of HBO Max originals going to theaters. So we have Judas and the Black Messiah that was in theaters. We have Little Things that was in theaters. Even Tom and Jerry played a little bit in theaters, right? So there is that possibility of the Snyder Cut going to theaters. Now, of course, the block will be Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers Pictures USA, not Warner Brothers Pictures UK. Warner Brothers Pictures UK would allow that to happen, but Warner Brothers Pictures USA, the CEOs there are behaving like fools, and they will try to block that from happening because they say, "Oh, we got a Justice League," but and ain't nobody want to see that Justice League. Okay. Anyways, we will see what happens. Okay. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but let's just keep it rolling. So it's number one. It's trending number one in the UK. Hit of Wonder Woman 84 right now. So it's not surprising that HBO Max reintroduced Wonder Woman 84 streaming in the US. It's not surprising because it looked like it could have competition and probably the Snyder Cut pass it. So they reintroduced it, but there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, nothing wrong with that. But in the same vein, Sky TV in the UK, they introduced the Justice's Grey version for UK customers. So now you can get the regular version or the Justice's Grey version. So I'm so happy for the people in the UK. They just getting everything. They get everything. I'm happy for them. And Warner Brothers UK just treat differently to the Warner Brothers in the US. The Warner Brothers in the US, I don't know what's wrong with them. But anyway, Gal Gadot's birthday was today. Well, yesterday, I have to say. Now it's May 1st. It was April 30th. And the WB Tour Hollywood Twitter wished her a happy birthday and told fans that they could see as Wonder Woman in the Snyder Cut playing on HBO Max. So that was really dope. That version of Warner Brothers actually also promoted the Snyder Cut. So that's really cool to see. And all of these things are just pointing to the fact this would not be happening if AT&T didn't give the go-ahead, the green light for the Snyder Cut to happen, and now they're building up to it. Kind of like what happened with, not the Snyder Cut, sorry, the Snyderverse. The Snyder Cut, the same thing happened. AT&T gave the green light, and people started coming out, started speaking, and I figure AT&T is giving the green light for the Snyder Cut. They decided, okay, we're going forward with this now. Let's start making things happen. And of course, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead is coming out this month, May. So once again, got to look forward to that as well and promote that. But right now, this segment is about the Snyder Cut and how much Snyderverse, sorry, and how much that's really going to be a reality, and that's going to happen sooner than you guys think. I already talked about that. Let's talk about so Ben Affleck's Batman and Henry Cavill's Superman. In a very recent questionnaire on IMDb for Superhero Day, they asked, who's your favorite Batman? And hands down, I mean, hands down, you can't bend it, you can't turn it, you can't twist it. Ben Affleck's Batman was the guy that most people, and I guess it was Snyder Cut fans, and some not Snyder Cut, they would say it was their favorite Batman. Here and there's a sprinkle of Batman, a little bit of Christian Bale here and there. But for the most part, with Ben Affleck Batman, that dominated. I mean, dominated that whole entire tweet and the contents under the tweet thread. So that there's no doubt about that. And then they also had another tweet with your favorite Superman. And I mean, there ain't no doubt on that tweet either. Everybody came out, whether Snyder Cut fans or whatever, and it's Henry Cavill down the road. Like he was killing with Henry Cavill. So once again, this just validates that the Snyderverse is definitely something that has to continue. It must be restored. It's not that other Superman or other versions of Superman or Batman or whatever can't exist. We're gonna have Rob Pattinson's Batman. I'm sure it's gonna be very good. I'm hearing that there's gonna be a new Superman. It's gonna be black, Kal-El, and it's gonna be played by the guy who played in Black Panther, the villain in Black Panther. And again, that's awesome. I'm not mad about that. That'd be great. But do not get rid of Henry Cavill Superman. Not yet. Do not get rid of Ben Affleck's Batman. Ben Affleck's got a lot, one or two more movies in him, and then you can get rid. He could pass on. But like in Henry Cavill Superman is so, man, I can't tell you how dope Henry Cavill Superman is, right? And the work that So I understand why a lot of people are affiliated with Henry Cavill Superman. And I could say a lot more about that, but I'm gonna let you guys either come through, say your piece or whatever. Remember, you can come through here and join as a guest, or you can leave your comments in the chat section, or you could just sit down and watch my stuff. I don't really care. At the end of the day, once you're listening, once your eyes are on this video, I know this video goes all over the place. I know a lot of people watch my videos. I don't get the credit I deserve in terms of YouTube views. I don't know what the algorithm with YouTube is. I don't know. But I do know one thing. I do know people watch my videos, which is awesome. And it's again, I don't really care. I don't really care if I get the credit or not, to be honest. So here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? We know there's a lot of information out here showing us that the Snyderverse is here to stay. Okay. At least not here to stay forever, but at least up to Justice League Part 3. At least up to that. Okay. And we already kind of charted a path where HBO Max can go, where AT&T could do it and be fiscally viable, right? You start off with the Ayer cut, which is like a gimme. You make some good money off the Ayer cut. Warner Brothers didn't lose any money off of the other version, so the Ayer cut was just good. So I don't see why Ayer cut can't come out. Okay, and then after the Ayer cut, we get a Deathstroke movie, we get a Batman movie, we can even get an Atom movie if they can squeeze that in before Justice League 2. You build up to Justice League 2, okay? Let people have an appetite for it. Zach's gonna be doing something a little bit different. I didn't talk to you guys about this, but I saw a fan art that was just so dope. All these Green Lanterns fighting Superman. You know what I'm saying? You got Guy Gardner. You got John Stewart. You got forgot what his name is. Fighting Superman. It was really dope to see. I'm talking about Nightmare Superman. I thought that concept art was really great. I mean, that a fan did this, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm saying to myself, man, dude, the Snyder Cut gonna be, the Snyder Cut done open Pandora's box, because Zack Snyder remember the storyboards that we saw that are in Texas right now, the AT&T Stadium in Texas. Guess what? Zach ain't using those storyboards anymore. The story will be still along the same lines, where Superman turns evil because Lois Lane probably still dies, whatever. But it's gonna be a little bit different. And I'm looking forward to that. I definitely want to see Justice League 2, and I definitely want to see Justice League 3. And another question I always wanted to ask was, where were the Green Lanterns all this time? And the Snyder Cut pretty much would tell us where those Green Lanterns were, right? The Snyder Cut would definitely tell us where those Green Lanterns were. Hold on a sec. Stephen M. Colbert pointed out an interesting issue with the announced Green Lantern for HBO Max series. So the Green Lantern for HBO Max series is supposed to be Finn Wittrock. He stars as Guy Gardner in the upcoming Green Lantern series on HBO Max. But obviously, we as fans want John Stewart instead, because that's the Green Lantern we more know, even more than right now, currently, even in the Modern Justice League. That's the Green Lantern, right? And a really interesting point here is that Zack Snyder in an interview, he said these actual words. He said, "Let me use my guy in my movie, and you can use your guy in your series." And he wasn't talking about John Stewart. Now, it was weird. They said that Warner Brothers Pictures, they wanted John Stewart for their Green Lantern movie, but they didn't want John Stewart. They had Guy Gardner. And it's interesting using the word guy there to play on guys. And Zack he seems prophetic sometimes, how he call out. But my thing is this, right? You're not using John Stewart, so why couldn't Zack use John Stewart in his movie? But again, petty as the brother was saying, petty rich people feeling that they have power, so they're going to wield that power. And obviously Jeff Johns in the background was trying to wield his power against Zack Snyder. And Jeff Johns has a thing against Zack Snyder, for which I don't understand why he's jealous of him. I guess because he didn't get to do what he wanted to do in Man of Steel to fuck up that movie. But by and large, Jeff Johns, he got something against Zack Snyder, clearly. Okay. And everybody's copying Zack Snyder's style now. The way how he shoots videos, the way how he shoots, shots and stuff. You can see people trying to copy it. Well, Zack don't care. Zack's like, you guys copy me and everything, and y'all trying to be like me. I don't get no credit, but it's all good. He don't really care. The thing about it is, I never really have an issue, like I said on Twitter, I don't have an issue with them using a particular actor as Guy Gardner. My thing is, I want to see the Green Lantern scene that Zack shot with Wayne T. Carr. That's what I want to see. So at the end of the day, give us, please, release the Green Lantern scene, as John Stewart is not being used in the series that you guys are talking about so far. And even if he is, it doesn't really matter. It's like, to me, what are you worried about? The fact that Zack Snyder would even show John Stewart would be a good thing for you guys. Because now people get excited for your fucking Green Lantern movie on HBO Max. Like he's a walking advertisement. He set up Wonder Woman so beautifully. He set up Aquaman so beautifully. Why would you, what is wrong with you, Warner Brothers? He makes other movies, sequels, successful. He makes movies after his stuff successful. That's what he does. He's walking advertising campaign. And you guys just trying all to excise yourselves from him when he's the best thing that ever happened to Warner Brothers so far. Everything else is shit. Other people tried to take the helm. Jeff Johns tried to take up the helms. He fucked up a movie. He fucked up 2 movies. He fucked up 3 movies, actually. Right? Why is it that you guys can't just accept this dude? That's what his calling is. His calling is to get along with people. He's really good at directing people as to what to do and giving them the freedom to do whatever they want to do in the process. This movement is Zack's directing this movement. If you guys haven't realized, he gives everybody the freedom to do what they want, to choose. That's what his movie's about, choice. Why is it that people can't get this? Zack's really good at what he does. That's what he do. He's good at that. Man, come on, man. Y'all need to wake up, Warner Brothers. I'm serious, man. Look, I'm not nobody special, okay? I'm just a fan, okay? But at the end of the day, we as fans, if you guys don't listen to us, you'll never be able to, especially well-meaning fans, not negative fans in the cancel culture, cancel Warner Brothers, cancel HE boys, boycott Warner Brothers. We don't say that. The decent fans, we want to see shit. We keep on telling you we want to see this, we want to see that, we want to see this. We're not trying to bully you, Warner Brothers. It's not you versus us. Okay? We're not wicked people. We're not malicious people. We're not trying to destroy your company. But you do so many stupid things, and selfish things that we wonder if you even care about the company. Did you even care about Warner Brothers? I know there are different facets of Warner Brothers. I'm talking about Warner Brothers Pictures proper. I'm talking about Ann Sarnoff, Tommy Emmerich, and Walter Hamada. You guys got to be flexible. You guys got to open your minds. You got to be open-minded. You're so close-minded, and you feel like people are pawns to be manipulated, and the media is something you got power drunk. You get power hungry. You feel you can do whatever the hell you want to do, and you never be held accountable. And that's just not the way how leadership goes. Watch it, Superman. Look at Zack Snyder's Superman. He's very conscious that he's to be held accountable for things. He's very careful about what he does with mankind because he's there to serve. His power is there to help other people, not to hinder, not to just benefit himself, not to be selfish. This movement is a reason why this movement is effective, because as much as we have little tips and taps in there and people want to get credit for this and credit for that, at the end of the day, this is, for the most part, unselfish movement. People take turns carrying the torch because we understand the cause is bigger than any one person. Cause is bigger than Zack Snyder. This is a revolution for Hollywood to understand that well-meaning people in Hollywood should get to express themselves correctly and rightly. That art is something that should still be revered and be sacred. That's why we have cosplays with the Comic Cons. That's why guys draw superheroes and draw different situations and scenes. Zack took it one step further and said the values that we all aspire to, the morals that we all aspire to, here they are. That's why we like these heroes. He didn't try to isolate it down to the heroes. He tried to isolate it down to spiritual stuff, which is the morals. And I think that's just a beautiful thing. So, yeah, I want to see the Green Lantern scene. I want to see what John Stewart had to say or not say. I want to see it. So Warner Brothers, stop trying to do cancel culture. Stop trying to censor people. I'm not of that. And anybody who is in our group, the Snyder group, who's trying to censor and boycott, and we're not about that. That's negative. That is toxic behavior. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So let's go to something else here, because I can't finish. There's a lot of topics to cover. There's a lot of topics to cover. And all of this happened in one day. So Harry Lennox, he joined in Superhero Day, which was yesterday. And he said, or the day before, and he said on Superhero Day, he said, he wants to pay tribute to the others, the heroes, the real heroes, which would be your parents, your families, people who sacrifice every day just for you to have a better life. Those are the real heroes. And then he plugged his Martian Manhunter, talking about, how he has a stake in the world. He had the video there, and also looking at Martian Manhunter. And let's not forget, Harry Lennox is plugging that because he wanted HBO Max to do a movie on his Martian Manhunter. And he knows he's backed up by Deborah Snyder. She's like, oh man, I would like to see a Martian Manhunter movie. Which, to be honest with you, nobody's ever done a Martian Manhunter solo movie. There's like so much uncharted terrain here. Nobody's ever done a Cyborg movie. Nobody's ever done a Martian Manhunter movie. Nobody's done a Atom movie. Nobody's done a New Gods movie. There's a lot of uncovered terrain here. Okay, lots and lots and lots. Okay, nobody's ever done a Deathstroke movie. There's a lot of movies to be done. So, that alone makes HBO Max a ton of dollars and a ton of subscribers, while we get ready for the Justice League Part 2. So I'm just saying, fiscally, the Snyderverse is very viable. Just based on the Snyder Cut alone, it's extremely viable. I'm sure AT&T has already made back their money on some off of this thing. So that's a great investment. They're not going to just back off of that. Okay, so there's another thing I want to talk about here. And that is the Snyder Cut in theaters. Okay, let me just scroll up here for a second. All right, so we need to push for the Snyder Cut to be in theaters. Okay, now we know they'll be in limited theaters come, I think it's May, June, somewhere there. They're gonna have, or July, they're gonna have a little something with the Snyder Cut to raise for, of course, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and which is a wonderful thing. All right, and we want to get to $1 million raised, and probably even more, as far as we can go. And as long as the Snyderverse is around, we should be raising money for suicide prevention. That'd be awesome. But in addition to that, I'm saying that we as fans should push for the Snyder Cut to be in theaters proper. All these other HBO Max original movies and series, they end up being in theaters. Okay, even look at on Disney Plus. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to end up having Captain America Part 4 in theaters. So why not? So why not the Snyder Cut in theaters? It's not hurting anything. It's still COVID. So why not just allow it to be in theaters, and let's just see how it does in theaters? Well, already the numbers are really coming out for all these movies now. So it doesn't really matter. The Snyder Cut is doing very well. There's a couple really important points to be made. But first, let me just emphasize again that we need to push for the Snyder Cut to be in theaters. I was talking to somebody on Twitter, and he started saying that stuff to somebody else. So we need to get galvanized, get ourselves together as fans, and push for that. Okay, because the Snyderverse is going to be restored, and I think one of the best and most emphatic ways for us to restore the Snyderverse is actually to get the Snyder Cut, which would be kind of like resparking the Snyderverse, into theaters, right? Which is what HBO Max wants to do anyway. They want, their goal is, if they have original programming, they can get the original programming in theaters as well as playing on their platform. That's what HBO Max really wants to do. That's the whole reason why they're doing the experiment with, taking things from theater, putting them into HBO Max, etc. Okay, so I would love to see the Snyder Cut, which is going to be playing on HBO Max. Come up, man. Once HBO Max Caribbean comes down here, I am subscribing to that, and I'm getting my Snyder Cut, both my Justice is Gray plus my colored version. I can get that for a subscription. Are you freaking kidding me? Plus all the good stuff on HBO. I mean, there's a lot of stuff good on HBO Max, and I'm really looking forward to exploiting that situation. But be that as it may, I'm saying to you guys that also I want to see the Snyder Cut in on IMAX, particularly, or at theaters. I don't care. I let it run in theaters. So I don't know how exactly that will work out, but we got to keep on pushing for it. I remember, Zack Snyder was asking for locations and theaters in Hawaii and stuff. I remember that with Ping Pong Flicks with Chris Wong and so on. So I think we need to keep pushing on that, because that's something on the cards, and we got to see if we can get it worldwide throughout theaters and make it fiscally profitable to do so. So that's something for you guys to think about, and think about how to coordinate that and get that going, because we need to start acting like, yeah, the Snyderverse is here. We need to get ourselves in position now. It's not just about pushing for the Snyderverse now, but it's now about what comes next, which is what are the things that we want to see, and then we have to push for those things. So the first thing I think, and this is why I said the Snyderverse kicking in, and just hearing about this May 24th makes sense to me, is that the Snyderverse needs to be able to go to theaters, because HBO Max content is going to theaters. So it needs to go to theaters. And of course, the executives are not going to like that from Warner Brothers Pictures, the specific executives. Of course, executives abroad, like in Warner Brothers UK and Warner Brothers India, Asia, Ireland, etc., they're going to love that. So they're going to lap that shit up. Canada, wherever. They're going to be like, yeah, hell yeah. The only people who are going to be against it are these clowns here in Burbank Studios. Okay, certain execs who think that it's not canon and blah 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 blah. And so far, not a shred of evidence to support that it's not canon. Okay, your Justice League home entertainment DVD 4K, whatever the hell it was, it flopped. Okay, so basically, I'm saying to you guys that we are winning this battle, and we need to keep the pressure on. And there's a lot more stuff I wanted to say. So let me get back to what I wanted to say. So the Snyder Cut, it's one of those phenomenons, okay? Because they said a 4-hour long movie couldn't play in theaters. Okay, well, we'll put that to the test, because guess what? The Snyder Cut's going to theaters in its 4K, in its 4K black and white with Justice is Gray movie format. Because guess what? The Snyder Cut played in theaters. People went in theaters to see it. All right, when it debuted. So I don't believe in that bullshit. And I think Titanic and all these long movies prove that if you can keep the audience engaged into your movie, they'll go see it. All right. And yeah, it doesn't necessarily make the big, the opening box office is not tremendous initially, but you got to look to see how much legs they have. I mean, you think of Guardians of the Galaxy, you think of even Titanic. Titanic never opened to a tremendous opening weekend, but over time, it amassed a tremendous amount of money. Avatar, Avatar didn't open. Did Avatar open to a tremendous opening week? No. But over time, it accrued a tremendous amount of money. And that's the point I'm trying to make. You make a good movie, people really like it, people are going to repeat view. Now, remember, the Samba TV views or households didn't account for repeat viewings. It just was talking about how many households actually saw it. So it's more of a quantitative thing, where we're not looking at it necessarily in terms of how much people love a movie. We're just looking at quantities, how many people actually saw it. And you just have to see 5 minutes of it to be counted. So it's not the perfect model, but what it does say is if you see numbers of people increasing, so remember, with the Snyder Cut, it started with 2.2 million and it grew all the way up to 3.7 million. That tells you that there was word of mouth because more households were at it. Okay, and we're going to see next month if it adds up next quarter, if it adds up to this quarter here, sorry, if it'll add up to even more, because that would be very impressive. So that's why you guys need to keep your HBO Max subscriptions and stop talking nonsense about canceling your subscriptions and keep on pushing forward because this is the data we get to get. All right. And we know certain people have gag orders. We just talked about that. Now, the other very interesting thing about the Snyder Cut that's just an anomaly is the fact that this movie is also showed in two versions. The first version is in color and the other version is not in color. So for a movie that is showing that's not in color, that's again just defies logic that it's being seen and people are still enjoying it so much. Zack Snyder has just broken a lot of rules. The time frame of which a movie should be shown in theaters, the color of a movie that should be shown in theaters, the design of a movie that should be shown in theaters. He's broken a lot of rules in movie making, and it just shows you that it's really about the caliber and type and quality and effort and work that's put into a movie that makes it great. And I got to say, Snyder Cut is a masterpiece for me. Does it supersede Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition? I would say yes, because ultimately it brings closure to that situation in a very classy way. So yes, I absolutely agree. Of course, it's not done. We still have to see Justice League Part 4. Justice League, sorry, Part 2. The 5-part arc. So I'm looking forward to that. But it is one of those anomalies because Zack Snyder was focusing on the human aspects or the people aspects of the characters in his movies. And as such, he would go into the qualities that make them who they are and the responsibilities behind them. And also the fact that he also allows them to have choice, which is something that in movies we don't see a lot of, again, in our protagonists in these deep and conscientious ways where they are tested philosophically and otherwise. So that is why I really love Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's something of its own kind. And of course, the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, as well as Man of Steel. And of course, I can't wait to get my hands on the Snyder Cut to actually own it myself. I just want a copy, any copy. I don't have abundance of money, but I'd really love to get a copy of it. But this is what makes Zack Snyder's movies so special. And a lot of people say, "Oh, he's just superficial. Superman, he looks great and he moves great, but he's not Superman." I laugh because I realize that a lot of people just don't want to accept that growth and development of characters and growth and development, period, takes time. And it has to be something that's relatable that you and I, we could say, oh, okay, I'm not quite there yet, but I can keep on pressing forward and probably I get there. So that's the crux of the matter when it comes to these things. See what's happening here. Let me see if I have any more extra news to give to you guys here. I think that's about it. So yes, the day before yesterday was a really depressing day for a lot of people, not for me. And today was just a glorious one. And tomorrow is going to, well, today actually is going to be Army of the Dead Day. So let's try and throw support behind that, throw a lot of tweets behind it, throw a lot of excitement behind it as fans. I can't wait to see what else is in store. But hey, there you go. I spent exactly an hour talking to you guys about restoring the Snyderverse and why I think it's a certainty. And for those people who don't want that to happen, I ask them again. I'll ask you straight to your face. I'll say to you, why is it you do not want the Snyderverse to exist? You're going to have the Hamadaverse. You're going to have the Arrowverse. You're going to have the DCU online, or their movies or films will be now or series will now be on HBO Max. So why is it you don't want the Snyderverse? And don't tell me it's not fiscally possible, because it is. And Warner Bros. Is still pumping in $200+ million into certain movies. So that's not true. That's not factual. The Snyderverse is not even going to be funded by Warner Bros. Pictures. It's going to be funded by AT&T. So at the end of the day, how is it going to be a burden on anyone, or a fiscal burden on anyone? Okay. So I don't buy into that nonsense. I'm pretty sure AT&T is going to put their foot down soon enough, even though they're in the gag order, and get things really going when it comes to this. I'm sure they're looking through the numbers thoroughly, and then they're going to proceed with the Snyderverse. And I'm very excited for what is in store for the Snyderverse. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm very excited for what's coming up down the pike, and I'm looking forward to it. Some people saying Ben Affleck, he wouldn't be directing his own movie, or he'd be looking to direct quality movies. I don't really care. Listen, once Gavin O'Connor can direct, he's directed a couple of Ben Affleck movies. I don't see why he can't direct the Batfleck movie. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And Ben Affleck is Batfleck. He is definitely Batman. You know, he physically looks like Batman from the animated series, from the Dark Knight Returns graphic novels. You know, he does look like Batman, especially the older grizzled Batman. So I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so that's what I got to say for now concerning everything. I said I was going to go for 3 hours, but I think an hour and 6 minutes is good and well directed. I'm not going to take too much more of you guys' time. I do think the Snyderverse is coming. And almost every single sign I see now is really pointing in that direction. I just wish you guys stay positive, stay happy, stay good, stay focused. If you can get access to the Snyder Cut, please do. Legally, that is. Take advantage of the situation, man. I couldn't wait to break down this movie more, but I don't have it right now, and I'm looking forward to getting it though. And that note, I hope you guys have a good one. I am Christ. I am disciple. I'm going to catch you guys later. Don't forget, Lazarus was risen from the dead because they believe in Jesus Christ, the life, the resurrection. And guess what? Snyderverse is going to be restored just like how Lazarus was risen from the dead. So when we seen it in the Snyder Cut, we're going to see it in the Snyderverse. I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace.